goes crazy. Spooks come out for swinging way, and becomes materialized, and begin to vocalize. Grim ghosts come out to socialize. Close your eyes and don't try to hide, for a serious spooky place by your side, shrouded in a damp disguise. They pretend to terrorize. Grim ghosts come out to socialize. Climb high on the dead oak tree. Spooks arrive on the midnight street. Creepy creeps with eerie eyes start to shriek and harmonize. Grim ghosts come out to socialize. When you hear the never-ending bell, weird ghosts clear where spirits dwell. Restless bones etherealize. Rise and spooks of every size. If you would like to join our jamboree, there's a simple rule that's compulsory. Mortals pay a token fee. Rest in peace, the haunting's free. So hurry back, we would like your company. Hurry back. That's the show. Go on home. Have a good day.
And the director of the film, Mr. Minkoff. I wasn't sure if he was actually back there because literally right before they were supposed to come on, he goes, "Where's the restroom?" And so, it was a 50-50 shot as to whether or not he'd show up for this when I didn't set his name. So, you're here?
I'm here.
Great. So, I got nothing else to
rested.
say. Yes. So, you get mics. I'm getting out of here. I'm going upstairs. Enjoy the movie. And thank you guys so much for coming. I'll be back at the end, hopefully.
Well, good. Thank you for having me.
Now for a lengthy introduction. Thank you for coming and having us here today. Rob and I are going to sit here and be kind of your annoying brothers for the next 90 minutes, talking about the film and our experiences, and yeah, I think that's good.
Yes, and we were sort of joking backstage, wondering if people are going to say, "Why do they keep talking through the movie? Can't we just watch it?"
Yeah. So if it's not so good, just let us know and we'll shut up.
Yeah, just like you could just go shh, like I want to see this part.
Yeah.
And if you don't care, we'll just keep talking.
Exactly. So let's run the movie, and here we go.
And right off the bat, we never did an audio commentary for this movie. So this is really the first time
it's live.
doing it live.
Yep. That's all we have to say all night, actually. This title sequence, wow, it's the last thing we did on the movie, and it's kind of meant to be a call out to all the clues that kind of come through the movie. Imaginary Forces is the name of the company that is opening, and yeah, it's extravagant. This is Rob's living room on Christmas Eve.
True. That's funny. Yes. So it was fun. The actor who's playing Nancy Gracie is named Nat Parker, Daniel Parker. You may know from Inspector Lindley. He was also in The Bodyguard, the one with Whitney Houston. Great cast. Jennifer Tilly. I actually worked with Jennifer Tilly on Stuart Little.
Yeah, Mark and Mary are the two kids that are part of the Evers family in the film. We'll talk about this ballroom scene a little bit later on, but it was probably the most elaborate day of shooting we had.
Mark Mancina, we met actually working on The Lion King. Mark worked for Hans Zimmer. And I remember the first day we met him was because we were listening to some playback of the songs from that movie.
Yeah.
And we were giving notes about the arrangements. And Hans Zimmer said, well, why don't you tell the person who actually wrote the arrangements? And then he said, come on, Mark. And he came out of a back room. I was like, that's Mark Mancina. It was so amazing.
John Meyer, our production designer, just worked on Mary Poppins Returns. It was just out. He was a huge kind of Disney fan and really was kind of as true as he could be to the mythology of the mansion in terms of the architecture and the design of it all.
Ironically, David Barrowell that same year wrote the movie Elf, directed by Jon Favreau.
Directed by Jon Favreau, who directed our movie The Lion King this year. So this mansion we built out in Santa Cruz Valley. There's a ranch out there, like an old chicken ranch or something, and it's it had a cattle kind of watering stall on it, which John Meyer thought was really interesting. So he staged the whole mansion at the edge of that lake.
Yes. By the way, that's my nephew.
That's your nephew.
People wonder about nepotism in Hollywood. It never happens.
No, except in the shot, yeah. One of the first things that we were given when the movie started out was the Haunted Mansion and Eddie Murphy. Because Eddie Murphy had a hole in his schedule and it just seemed like, well, here you go. And so Eddie we rewrote the script and tried to accommodate Eddie and get his character alive in the movie. And originally he wasn't a realtor, he was a
lawyer.
A lawyer. He was a lawyer. It made sense since it was about the mansion that we would actually do a realtor.
And that's Jim Dugan and Rachel Harris. Jim Dugan, who I met, was a groundling. I remember inviting Jim Dugan to come out to the Disney studios to give a lecture, and he brought the girl who was, what's her name? She ended up doing Ariel, the live-action reference. Sherry Stoner. Jim Dugan brought Sherry Stoner to the Disney studios to talk about improv. And John Musker and Ron Clements met Sherry and said, would you come back in and do Ariel?
Yeah, that's cool. Rob and I have worked on a lot of movies together and separately, and so you designed characters on Mermaid and everything, going back to Basil at Baker Street and some of those movies, Great Mouse Detective.
But I met Don Hahn in the summer, or it was the summer of 1982, because I got invited to do an internship at Disney in animation, but the studio was on strike, and there was nobody in the animation building. They were all picketing on the sidewalk, except Don was there because he was management, so that was our introduction.
But there's a story about this tiki room. It was a scene that was added a little bit later to the script, and John Meyer again built an amazing tiki room that at the end of production ended up in Rob's garage. Is that true?
Yes, it is true. I walked in one day and I said, what's going to happen with this tiki bar when we're done with the shoot? They said, well, we're going to throw it away. And I said, really? Do they have to throw it away? They said, why? What do you have in mind? I said, could they put it in my garage? Sure.
Yeah, they were just going to put it in a dumpster, and so it ended up in your garage. That's great for parties.
Yes. And that's on the right. That's Heather Jurgensen, my brother's ex-girlfriend. True story.
It's interesting. Eddie was really interesting because when we were not shooting, he's actually really quiet. And so he's kind of processing and just very private to himself. But when the camera rolls, he just lights up. So it was took a little getting used to because he's just a really...
And that's Jerry Seinfeld, by the way. I'm sorry.
No, it's not, is it?
No, it's not.
Just kidding. It should be Jerry Seinfeld.
Sorry, I had to say that.
No, that's okay.
Well, Jim Edwards, if you haven't seen it,
It does look like him.
Hi, Sarah. My name's Tate. Husband told me Tate loves very much, but sometimes he loses track of time. Sorry, I'm late. Happy anniversary.
This house was in Pasadena. It's one of the few sets that weren't built, so it was actually a practical house. And I think it's always a mistake to invite a film crew into your house because you repaint all the walls and kind of redo the whole thing and then try to restore it back to what it was. But these people were really nice and let us use their house for a couple days.
It's okay. I forgive Tate.
One of the other interesting things about Eddie is that whenever he leaves the set, he takes off his costume. And then when he's ready to shoot him again, you call, and then he has to put his costume back on.
Okay, we'll tell you what we need to do in the takeoff.
And then, yeah, I remember it taking a lot of time, yeah.
We're going to have to do like we did.
And
I think it's because he doesn't like his suits to get wrinkled.
it's true. And he had a spectacular compound with his assistants, a workout trailer, because he spends the vast majority of the time in his compound because you're just setting up shots and that kind of stuff. So it seems like a glamorous job, but it's got a lot of waiting. This kid was great.
No spiders were harmed in the making.
Yeah, this is a fabricated spider.
Yeah, I'm afraid of spiders. Can't whack.
It's an elaborate setup for an elaborate spider scene later in the movie.
I'm scared to use it against you. I'm not scared of anything. I'm your dad, right? You're my son. You whack that spider. Come on, whack. Can't whack the spider. Come on, whack. Like the spider said. I want to whack. Yes, you can. Come on, whack. Yeah, please crush it. I can't whack it. I'm not hacking, baby. I was trying to make a point to your brother how it's important to whack your own spiders.
That is the most important lesson from the movie. Whack your own spider.
It is. We should have done t-shirts like that.
My husband and I work as a team.
So this whole phone call was kind of setting up this mysterious, creepy, what became the villain in the movie, the Terrence Stamp character.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but tomorrow.
Excuse me a second. Just someone calling the door in the house. What's your treasure? Sarah, you know where this place is? All the place to be like a multi-million-dollar man is just to be big. How about a big family adventure? Just a little detour.
So this, all the kind of bayou footage like this was not in Los Angeles, it was in the Carolinas, Georgia.
Exactly.
Yes, somewhere on the East Coast where there's big trees and swamps and things.
Yes.
I mean, he's in a car surrounded by green screen, so the second unit went out and shot all these plates to put behind the family.
But hey, listen, maybe I could come back early.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not a
no,
lot.
I can't come back early.
It's just a couple driving shots.
Maybe you should stay here with someone. Right? Love it? What else has my best? Okay, I'm not getting
There wasn't a lot of improv in the movie, although I think Rob encouraged it any time. See, that's a good swamp shot. Rob encouraged it any time that we could, because Eddie being Eddie, we want to get as much of him as you can. This was all in California, though, this drive-up shot. The gates were fabricated. All this was built, which is amazing looking at it now. But this was shot again out by the Gold Milk Ranch out in Santa Clarita. And John Mayer put a lot of moss on the trees so they could look like southern, just moss draping across the oak trees. So they had people up on ladders for hours hanging moss off the trees. The top of the mansion itself is a CG set piece. So the mansion was only built up to the very top pinnacle, and then the rest was like a CG extension by the guys at Sony. Jay Red, our visual effects supervisor, built the top of it. So it's just a really set extension.
One of the things that we wanted to, people that we wanted to cast as the caretaker was Don Knotts.
Yeah, because of the Haunted Mansion attraction, which we, like early in the process, we walked through the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, which was like a highlight of my life, and turned on the lights and walked through the catwalks and everything else. And that attraction is so special.
There is the caretaker in the attraction who's sort of standing there nervously with his knees shaking. And we thought it had to be Don Knotts because of the Ghost of Mr. Chicken. The Ghost of Mr. Chicken, which this movie is almost a remake of.
We talked a lot about Ghost of Mr. Chicken, yeah. But sadly, Don Knotts passed at some point during the making of the film, and it didn't work out.
Did he pass? He passed on the roll.
He passed on the roll, and then he passed. He
Oh,
passed
really?
like the other side, yeah.
It's a big pass.
Big pass. It's a lot of passing. So there's beautiful sawdust and New Holland. That was back in the day when we used live birds. I think today that would like end Maleficent if everything's animated. So that was an actual live trained bird.
It's a car, yeah. It's not just a car. Very delicate piece of machinery.
Yes.
Come on, let's go.
Everything's a setup for something horrific later.
20-minute stops. Enjoy your evening before the boutique performance. That's all you need to see.
Dead people?
Hey, honey, you know we have dead people in the back.
Some people live private cemeteries. You're gonna sell a house with this?
Brings historical strong man with spacious grounds, yes.
Yeah, that's good. Put that on the list. And leave out all the dead people?
And then just stick to the price.
Oh, I hope it's not raining in the lake.
We stole that line from Mel Brooks.
No, that's true. Great movie. He's a good Knockers guy. When they walk inside the mansion, that was all shot in beautiful Glendale, California. So we built all the sets inside. Originally, we were getting pressure to go to Vancouver. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Wow. Yeah, we were getting a lot of pressure because there were tax incentives and things like that. But we ended up being able to shoot in good old America and built all the sets in a place it's now called Coyote Studios. But it's in Glendale, right off the 5 freeway. And we filled up 4 or 5 sound stages with all these sets. And they were amazing. Again, by John Meyer, the Oscar-winning production designer. We also had great stuff. That was a real wolf spider. I remember we had a spider wrangler one day who had wolf spiders in Tupperware that he would bring to the set. And when we wanted to make them move, he would blow through a straw on the bottom of the wolf spider and then we needed to skitter off. So if you ever need a spider wrangler, we have some phone numbers for you.
I don't know if anyone seen Return Sam. It's the new Adam Sandler Netflix movie. Really? In the murder mystery book. And he looks about the same age.
Yeah, because we had subtle makeup on him from the great Rick Baker, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, but he's a very cool guy. This was the biggest set we had, this ballroom. And it doubled as a dining room. We had a food stylist come in to keep all the food looking a certain way. And this whole ballroom set we used again and again for the climax of the movie. And it was amazing. Amazing space.
There you go.
Have you ever seen a fireplace? It's amazing. Seriously, look at this detail. I've never seen anything like this. I heard all the spare lyrics to this much. The grandfather had really good taste in chopsticks. Don't you ever never Johnny make your legs? They were crisp. This is my wife, Sarah. Mr. Grayson. Very nice to meet you, Mr. Grayson. And this is our daughter Megan and our son Michael. It's creepy. I'll kick it.
There was one of those chairs, I understand, it's actually Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
I think that's true. Yeah, John is
At the end, with Jack Sparrow sitting on the chair.
Yeah.
As you're leaving, as you're going up the...
I think he found these at like a Mexican carved wood place out in the valley and made them up to look like this. But remember what
I don't think it was these chairs though, so definitely must have been a different chair.
Yeah, in the library. We also used the sofa from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was in the library of the mansion. because you went through the prop house at Disney, and a lot of the old props from the old movies from this, 50s, 60s were still in the prop house. So a lot of the stuff in Gracie Mansion was from that.
This house is my inheritance. My birthright. But lately it's become too much to bear. Tell me, Mr. Ellis, do you believe in ghosts? Ghosts? Yeah, sure, I believe in ghosts. I don't think it's a good idea to put information on this. Talk about how many bad things are. People love bad. Oh, more than anything. Leave out ghosts. How's that?
Such drama.
What?
Ghosts, you're all welcome. Spend the night here.
Oh no, I really don't think we should. We've got plans.
I'm afraid there's no other way. Ramsey,
Use the wallpaper in this hallway. I think John Mayer used the Haunted Mansion wallpaper in this long hallway that goes to all the bedrooms, or a version of it, just to try to call back some of the attraction.
Yeah, go home. We'll be fine.
find this room to our liking. That's great. Let's do the 9 to 5 hotel. Will there be anything else that you require, sir? Are you gonna get some chocolates? Alright. You chocolates and go to the hotel pillows. It's a call.
That's not the point. You couldn't resist. You just had to.
Excuse me, this is a big opportunity for all of us.
Not for us. For you. The only thing you seem to care about anymore is work.
Oh, when I'm working hard like this, it doesn't matter if I'm gonna bring you home expensive gifts, right?
By the way, never say that to your wife.
That's a good idea. Autobiographical, and it just does not work. Yeah. Does not work.
I'm sorry about that, honey. Can you open up, please?
This is a little scary thing to me. Okay, what you love.
All the intrusion, sir. The master was wondering if you might have a word with you in the library. Yeah, we'll have a word. Sure. We'll toss some turkey. Yes. Turkey. You will kindly follow me. Hey, Sarah! I'm gonna have a word with you, Gracie. I'll be back in a minute. You know where this is?
It's funny, we haven't seen this movie in a lot of years, and it's just funny to be able to look at the opulence of the sets and things, and think that it was all built. And not this stairway, but the stairway in the ballroom with the organ on it. We actually saved and sent down to Walt Disney World. It was on display down there for a while at what used to be the Disney MGM Studio Tour. Because I just couldn't stand throwing all this stuff in the dumpster, and a lot of this stuff did get thrown in the dumpster at the end of the movie, but we saved portions of it just for a studio tour attraction.
Thanks so much.
We had such great set decorators who just scoured antique stores everywhere to find just strange taxidermy and interesting props for those rooms like this library.
Attending understanding priorities, and above all, knowing one's place. Much of boss like, isn't it? No one closes his door. The master likes a great many things: art, literature, beauty. And all stuff about ghosts. When you get like a bad clam, you tell a lie one night. Do you ever believe in ghosts, sir? Absolutely not. Let me tell you something, man. around the track once. You do it full out, all the way around. Mr. Coast, may I confide in you? Please do. The master is not well. He must leave the thousands because he must move on. It is of the gravest consequence, I assure you. Life. Very much.
I have a weakness. Still no reception.
I'm not sure why the kids were locked in their own bedroom. It's not good parenting. No.
I've tried it before. Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No. That's the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea sofa from Nemo's cabin.
Covered. We must have.
Yes, so, yeah, because it looks really new there. Secret passage.
That's a good way to break a secret passage.
It is, yeah. You should have moved this set to your garage. It's a nice library. We arrived at this glowing orb idea. I don't remember. I may have been passed out, I don't know. Stroke or something. I mean, this whole plot line that starts to lead into Gracie's love of Mr. Ember's wife and all that stuff kind of gets set up here. And so the orb ends up being this spirit from her past, of the bride. So we need something to represent that instead of having a bride kind of wander around.
Was that not part of the original
Lore. Well, there's the bride in the attic, the heartbeat bride in the attic from the mansion itself. So I think this was leading into that idea, basically.
Have you seen my husband? Excuse me.
We interviewed a lot of people to play her. Do you remember that?
Yes.
We had lunch with people.
Yes.
We talked.
Remember some of the people.
Family for generations.
Well, one of them's a judge on America's Got Talent right now. Gabrielle Union.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had lunch with her.
He's cool.
It was hard because you had to find somebody that we liked. We also had to find somebody that Eddie felt comfortable playing against. And Marsha's actually English, so you wouldn't know from this movie, but she's from English, Surrey.
There's nothing to be afraid of. And he's English too.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why they hired them to play in this movie, but they worked okay.
This house is what's been so many. Wait. You don't know the last everything to discuss. Would you just relax? Why is this into that picture? This is the intro market.
This whole scene came about really late in the process too. Was it? I don't know if it was after we reviewed the movie or, but it was trying to get more of a sense of the mansion into it. And so this is all kind of a takeoff of the actual attraction, a little bit more. Hello? They come every time. That was like, we had Rick Baker on the movie, but that actual little piece of visual effects, that was visual effects makeup, 16 years ago, long before it was popular to do visual effects makeup, done by Jay Red and the guys at Sony.
What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be up here. This is unspeakable. Unspeakable. You have to leave. Who is that? That's none of your business. wasn't supposed to bring, along with that brainless husband of hers. I had to listen to another woman from that insufferable fool I think I'm the best. Of course, what a fool. Did I want to tell that to you?
Is it really too much to ask for?
Corporation, a little order. Of course not, sir. If I were you, were able to be served, the final arrangement will be made. Nothing further will interfere with the master's plan.
Just before this segment proceeds, will you make it a little Andre?
Yes.
And while we showed it, Andre Gregory showed up at the theater just to let him he set him on. Oh, really? They showed up to do a Q&A for the movie.
This was, by the time we got to these sets in the movie, we needed to save money because we were running out. And John Miner built Leota's room just out of carpets and drapes. So there's no, if you were to pull those walls back, it was just fabric. But it was economical, it was just beautiful on camera.
I am seeking a way out of here. I will that you get.
There's an angel in this house. A devil's curse. It seeks to destroy you.
What was up to see the destroyer? Look, I'm just here to sell the house, okay?
Our spirits from the grave come forth, lift us from the map, and show us the way back.
Dark spirits. Make no dark spirits. Make no dark spirits come out.
Lift us up to the light, and lead us through this stormy night.
They just built a big rig up in the sky with Eddie on a chair spinning around, so, which was, in retrospect, probably really dangerous putting your $20 million star on a chair on a spinning rig, but somehow it worked. Some laughed in there. Those portraits are so art department again that John Meyer had to do all these, and they were just gorgeous.
She was so very young. So very beautiful. She was not bad to description. He loved her more than life itself. But they were from different worlds. Couldn't be together.
How did she die, Mr. Gracie?
She took her own life. Twice. Not less. This time her parents on the bed. So, without hope, without love, without Elizabeth, young himself. So long as these words, waiting for her to return. If you listen carefully, you can still hear the beating of his broken heart. Oh, wait, hold this. You tell me this guy is dead. The only reason we brought him was trying to cheat with my wife.
People still say he did GD. I don't know. This was like the story point was one of the central issues of the movie, and it was always something that was difficult because, you know, for a family movie to talk about a character who owns a mansion who wants to get it on with this guy's wife, trying to keep some sort of balance and entertainment to all that was awkward and difficult, to be really honest. Because we were always trying to get that balance feeling right, because the essence of the story was that Tracy lured this family here so that he could kind of consummate his relationship with this woman who looked exactly like Elizabeth and maybe was Elizabeth. And so just plot-wise, it got very, tough to keep all those plates spinning.
Tell me all I have to do is find this key. And I'm gonna walk out with my wife and keys like nothing ever happened.
The key is the answer to all.
Wait a minute, let's get this key.
There's only one problem. How do we get out of here?
Yeah, how do we get out of it? There's always my way.
So this whole sequence again was shot out in Santa Clarita, California. So California oak trees with moss draped on them. The person we should talk about, I think, for a lot of the sequence though, is a woman named Mona May, who was the costume designer for the film. And she came up with this amazing idea for these graveyard costumes to make the costumes, but then spray them with that reflective material that you have on maybe a reflective vest or clothing or a stop sign that lights up at the headlights of a car. And so when the characters were lit, it had this kind of iridescent glowing kind of quality to it. And so all these costumes and all the makeup were spray painted with that reflective material.
Dad? I see Dad.
Excuse me. Why are all these ghosts still hanging around here?
When they died, they couldn't find the light. Now they're trapped.
Doomed to wander the earth for all eternity. Nice. Nice job.
Don Knotts would have been great in here.
Hey, what are you doing? Are you seeing us? No, of course not. Yes, I can see us being right next to you.
Don't listen to it. He's lying.
The ghost in the middle is an actor named Deep Roy, and Tim Burton uses it all the time in his movies, and he's just a funny little Indian gentleman, and he's made for a great ghost for us. Since you guys shot forever in this attic, you know, it's like a yard sale, and there wasn't, the set itself, the building of the set wasn't that big of a deal, but the props and everything that filled it. I remember you guys being here for weeks, though.
Was it really that long?
It seemed like a really long time because you were, all these separate pieces of the story had to be told, and Gracie hanging himself, and
I think, yeah, that was one of the more difficult things, was that the story was divided up into different, you know, channels.
exactly.
Sort of keeping
This whole graveyard again is in Santa Clarita. Brought in tons of tropical plants, just to make it look like Florida. So a lot of ferns and a lot of kind of Florida scrub and that kind of stuff.
Florida or New Orleans?
New Orleans. These guys are, I always felt like stop motion animation, and they aren't, but the way they're animated is really clever. They're all CGI heads. Rick Baker actually sculpted all of these heads in real life. I still have their old Raven's problem. But he sculpted all four of these characters, and then they were scanned and turned into models to be animated with.
Is that the roller?
Yeah, it's the roller coaster. It was in the original mansion.
Did our actual barbershop quartet?
They left the building with the
encore spots
of homage. And these were the dapper bands from Disneyland that sang this. They were kind enough to come into the recording studio and perform all those pieces for us.
And the group here tonight performed an incredible rendition of Baby's Got Back. Backstage,
we heard Baby's Got Back from the Barbershop Quartet, which is not fitting for a family audience, but it was entertaining. So. But Rob would do multiple takes, and then the spider web guy would have to come in and reset all those spider webs, and then we'd do another take, and then we'd do another take. So it was an expensive spider web scene. But worth it.
20 minutes tops, right?
20 minutes tops.
This is another huge set that was built in Glendale on sound stages. The top of the mausoleum is out at the ranch, and then going down these stairs into the mausoleum that was built in the same area as the rest of the mansion. And it was a big, flooded, wet swimming pool kind of set. It really pays off later in the movie. great Rick Baker zombies coming up, which Rick had a problem with initially, because it seems easy to do a zombie, but you have to have somebody who's thin enough so that if you strap a rib cage to them, they look like it's actually their rib cage. So all the zombies were really thin guys and girls, and then Rick would put superficial bones and pieces of rib cage on them and tattered clothing so that they eventually look that way. And then special effects would take out pieces of their ribs and that so you could see through them. But it was a real Rick Baker kind of masterpiece in here with all these zombies coming up.
This was totally old school because now you wouldn't do it that way. Just CGI.
You do CGI, yeah. So this was really old school makeup and costume design as well.
In fact, I think this was the time that Rick was really starting to feel his approach to things was really on the way out. This was his last hurrah.
He had a tough year that year because I think his father passed away, and this was like
not his father.
This is not his dad right here now. But it was a way for him to, and he was feeling like his craft was changing because of computer graphics and all that. So this is one of the last old school kind of makeup jobs he did. Such a brilliant guy. So easy to work with too.
If he sent his daughter to get the
I was thinking that what director would possibly send a little girl into this, that it was heated in his mind. So. We didn't build that many zombies because there are some scenes here where there's dozens of zombies, and that was just created with split screen photography, so the camera would shoot the scene, and then we have all the zombies move from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen, and rubber stamp them around and create a room full of zombies. So it's a complex little visual effects piece here. So just rubber stamp the zombies. These guys are great.
Yes. Trouble.
Not door?
No. Not door. Trouble.
All you should have to do is find this key. I got the key and let me tell you a story about a trunk. The key is the answer to all, remember?
Look, I don't make the rules, okay? I just work here. Hey, what are you doing? Put me down. This is bad luck. This is very bad luck. I'm getting nauseous. Please don't call me. I'm fragile. I'm very fragile.
Talking about being fragile. I don't want to be fragile right now. Is that it?
That's it.
Right now we're in business. Wait, hold on first. Hey, how do I know what to look for? This thing is full of junk.
I just say we must be ready. This heart be filled with dread.
Thank you. Wait, it's a letter. It's a letter. Yes, my dear, I will marry you. I love you for all eternity. May it last and be together. I do. Forever yours, Elizabeth.
She didn't kill herself.
She wanted to be with him. And somebody gave him the wrong letter. Yes, well done, Mr. Joyce. I must say I am impressed. You are more persistent than I would have ever imagined. The butler did?
I would tell us the butler.
You too. Why'd you kill him? Because the master would not listen to reason. He had everything in the world and he was willing to throw it all away. Alone. I did tell him it would end badly. We called you her experience. I am a rational man. It was my responsibility to the house, my duty, sir, to see to it that the boy did not make a foolish error in judgment. Running away from the girl would have destroyed us. It would have destroyed everything. And I could not stand by and watch it all fall to ruin.
Put your face in there.
Yeah, the first time it comes master really happy. The master must never know. Edward and his love will be reunited, and this curse will be broken. That's not her, that's my wife. What she sees in you, you and her. I just don't believe all this now. The only thing that matters is that the master's pain must end, and it will end tonight. The curse will be broken, and we can all finally move on. And that's it. Where's my wife? Getting ready for the wedding? What wedding? He can't marry these days. She's not. True. But that can be easily corrected. Life, I'm afraid, is such a delicacy. One thing on my life, I swear, I'll kill you. What is it? You're going to kill yours.
Leave him alone.
Let my kids out of here. You're taking my wife. You're my side right now. Oh. Fine. Let me show you. Your name like Gracie, I never helped you. Remember? What, Mr. Gracie, you're scaring me. Always wait on lost. Always forget what we got together for the last time. Before you killed yourself. Now you think those lost keeping me together. Why do you not remember? You were my world, my life. And I have loved you again as I really want. Let me go! Why do you not remember? Oh, Elizabeth, you must be. Give me your sex and search your heart. I am your one true love. And now we're finally together. Don't you understand? Now listen to me. Elizabeth! Please, I implore you. Leave me alone. Get away from me. She doesn't remember. We copied her. Useless. This gypsy woman prophesied her return. And now the time has come. We must get ready. She doesn't remember. In time she will say, I'm sure
So in this coming sequence, we really did crash a brand new BMW through the set into the library in the greenhouse. We put it on elevated tracks like railroad tracks and cut the cord and drove the BMW into the greenhouse.
Oh, Ramsey, you have to help me. There's something horribly wrong. Mr. Gracie. Yes, I he's expecting me. He's always expecting me. And you haven't put on your dress yet. You can't keep the master waiting. Waiting? For what? Waiting, of course. Why? I'm not Elizabeth. Of course you are. You may not see it yet, but in time you will. You don't actually think I'm going through with this madness, do you? Oh, yes. I very much do. You see, we wouldn't want anything to happen to the children now, would we? Michael, Megan! You wouldn't. Of course not, my dear. But that's entirely up to you. If not, I really fear for the children. Get ready. And this time, any further accidents of coordination will be dealt with in the harshest possible manner. Sir. There are worse things than purgatory. I can assure you. Ready.
Brought a lot of dead flowers for this whole scene, which was really sad. Who knew he was a clergyman? He's a rabbi or something. It's such a miracle.
To the online ordained course.
Which you can all do now, and you can marry your friends and things, so yeah, you can sure get Ramsey to do that. All I remember about this scene is it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was freezing cold outside.
Stanley, leave me alone.
Oh, I see. You're just gonna sit there feeling sorry for yourself.
Tell you what, this whole thing was my fault. We should have never been there in the first place. Supposed to be at the lake. See my wildfire. I made this coming. No, it's too late.
No, it's never too late.
I'm trying to get in there and I can't, alright? I tried, I failed.
You try, you fail, you try, you fail. But the only true failure is when you stop trying. Try again.
Crash your BMW. Get in the car and crash it. I love it because he takes Leota with him and she's strapped into the seatbelt. Car safety. There it comes. You just get one shot at a scene like that. It's very loud.
Yes, hello.
It's a nice airbag joke. Say hell because it's Sleeping Beauty, so, you know.
couple of us who can say it, we can say it. That's one heck of a fireplace.
What's the matter? What's wrong? It's the poison. No. No. Sarah, please don't do this. Sarah, don't do this, please. Sarah. Hey. Sarah. Sarah, come on, please. Sarah. Sarah, I love you. Sarah, please, I love you so much.
It's Glinda. Yes. That's who it is. I never figured that out. The good witch. You had it in you all along.
Yes, my love. The ghost wall was listening. The truth had to be known for it to be released. He saved me. Oh, yes, yes, my darling. I've waited so long for this moment. And now we have the wings.
Such an awkward moment.
It's an awkward
I think
moment.
that happens, yeah. Especially when your wife kisses a ghost, you know, it's uncomfortable.
Or just maybe it's very modern.
Sarah, could be ahead of its time. Yeah. There we go. That looks like Belle, actually. Thank those off with so much. It's very Disney. It's like fireworks going off over the castle.
It is well ended for those who have passed. Love endures all, no reason, no rhyme. It lasts forever and forever all time. Oh, you won't shut up.
You've taken along to the lake and live happily ever after. It's pretty nutty. Well, just to wrap up, I can't say enough about the group of people we had. John Meyer, the set designer, and Baker and Laura May, and
Our DP was Remy Adafarison.
who had shot Band Brothers and a bunch of other really great stuff.
Elizabeth.
Yes. So it's a great team on this movie. And it was good. It was difficult, and it was, like most movies are difficult in the making of them. But it's fun to look back now, like 16 years later, and try to process it all and see it. It's actually entertaining.
And since you all have stayed this long, does anyone have any questions? Yes. Oh shoot! You don't really have a question.
No.
You raised your hand.
So, with all the references you guys did, say Mel Brooks and with Casper and all that, I was wondering if you guys couldn't pull, Inconceivable.
Inconceivable!
Yeah, we should have done
From
that.
The Princess Bride.
Yes.
Another
Wally
great
Shawn.
movie.
Yeah,
Wally
we should
Shawn.
have, I know. What else in the back over here?
You guys were allowed to essentially remake it, but with all the same sets and all that, without any Murphy, and make it more like a traditional Haunted Mansion movie. How do you guys think you would make it more like non-plot based and more like situational?
I don't know. It's hard to say because the question is if it didn't have Eddie Murphy in it, but it does have Eddie Murphy in it.
But it would be a totally different thing. I actually think that they're a new or a remake or a different version of Haunted Mansion is in development at Disney. So I think there will be another version, and probably do something a little bit scarier and a little bit, definitely not a comedy, I'm sure. But that was, as Don said, that was kind of how they had put it together. So it was sort of Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy, which is when we got involved in it. But yeah, I think it would be, it's such a great source material, and I don't think this is necessarily the definitive version of what that would be. In fact, I do think that there's a completely other kind of style and tone of a movie that would work great.
Yeah, we don't like to see it. Let's do one more question because the party's raging upstairs, and I know you all want to get there.
Why didn't Leota go up with them?
Well, that's a good question. Why didn't Leota ascend into heaven with the rest, or did she?
No, she was with them.
Wow.
She was. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be answered in the sequel. She's like the genie.
She's a spirit.
It's true, she's not a ghost, she's a spirit.
She's not a
Thank
ghost,
you
she's
so
a
much.
spirit.
Excellent answer from over
Great,
here.
thank you.
Thank God
Well
you're
done.
here. Yeah, it's true. Listen, you guys, we should let you go because the hour is late. You've been very patient to sit here.
Yes.
And,
Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have fun at the party, I guess. There sounds like a rager going on.
Have fun tomorrow. Thanks for inviting us.